Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'd say to Dark if he understood what I said. But, you know, GSL vs. the World was obviously a little bit of a reality check for Dark there. He said in his interview, I remember because I went to GSL vs. the World, that he was like, oh, I don't lose to foreigners. It doesn't happen. He was like, oh, please.
Absolutely not.
Cyril is not, he's an obstacle, but he's a small one. And then, whoopsie daisies.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm sure that he's more than happy to get into that round of 8 and hit him in the best of 5 format. And I hope it happens, man. It'd be so good to see them rematch.
Yes, it would. Looking back on this though, Pig, what did you make of it overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see, you know, we talked about this map, but to hear Dark say, hey, I wanted to rush, but he was so well prepared, he was scouting it, so I had to change up my plan on the fly, and hey, it worked out. I mean, he did it very well. This was quick, you know, on the fly thinking. Lurk is fantastic on that map, and I mean, map number 2, you were mentioning it, Todd. This was just such a sick way to finish that game.
After the hold, I was like, if you're a Zerg player, just veto acid plant. Like, don't try to play it against Showtime. Like, he's just not losing on this map. Sure enough, right after that, he starts doing these insane multi-pronged attacks that just saved the game. Like, it feels like one of those games where so few players would have found success, but somehow he found it here after the initial hold from Showtime.
Great utilization of the drops as well, to even just kind of draw him even thinner across all of his defensive lines.
I was actually going to mention the drops in particular as just being something, you know, we just brought it up on screen there, but it was definitely something that Dark does against Showtime that not a lot of other Zergs do.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of Zergs that Showtime would practice against usually go into that lurker style and try and hit from several locations at once, do run-bys and whatnot, but the Overlord drops were, you know, it got moved back to lair tech from hatchery tech, so something that's not as prevalent, but certainly mid-game onwards, they are deadly, especially in the hands of a Zerg with the multitasking skills of Dark.
I think he played to his image to the previous game as well, where maybe Showtime was pretty worried about lurkers, but there was none. It was just like Dark attacking with a lot of roaches and hydralisks and being like all over the place, using the true mobility of those units.
Yeah.
The Tempests were coming out very early there because, you know, Showtime knew he was behind and he was thinking, okay, it could be they help against lurkers, they very slowly chip away, and obviously they're the answer to Broodlords. If you don't have Tempests out, you're behind on economy, Broodlords hit the field, you're just out of it. And I think after killing the lurker army, Showtime kind of felt like he was past the Roach Hydra lurker phase. It was like, you know what, I held this army, but it was just a remax of Roach Hydra. I think he was expecting Broodlords, and he was like very worried about the front. And then suddenly it's like, whoa, there's Roach Hydra dropping here. There's Roach Hydra running in the natural. Great positioning by Dark. Made use of a very low-tech composition with his positioning. That's what won him the game.
A lot of Zergs would have just slowed down and sat back, and I think that's what Showtime expected. Dark did exactly the opposite with the Roaches and Hydras, and that moment when he sneaked into the natural with all of the roaches, that's when we knew that it was over.
All right, well, let's take a look at the schedule as well. We have one final match to come here today, and it will determine our last member moving through into the round of 8. During the day, we had our elimination matches as the losers from our first 2 matches in each group went up against one another. Then moving on from that, of course, we had the 4 matches to find out who's going to be moving into the round of 8. And again, we have one more left. Special versus Classic, and then it's going to be the bracket reveal as
nice
we
timing.
continue things on.
Well done.
Got it down there. And that is going to be revealing everybody going up against one another. They'll be playing on BlizzCon November the 2nd and 3rd. Don't forget to check in with the Blizzard Esports mobile app as well, as you can see all of the fixtures that have been going on here at the World Championship Series, as well as all the other esports action going on across opening week as well as into BlizzCon. For now, we're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we have that one more series to find out who's going to be advancing. Will it be special or will it be classic?
The 2018 StarCraft II World Championship Series Global Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
One more series to wrap things up for that trophy over there as we're getting into the round of 8 pretty soon because we have one more match to find out who our final member is going to be. Is it going to be special? Is it going to be classic? We're about to find out. Welcome back to the Analysis Concave. I'm Kyle Loris, your host throughout this as well as BlizzCon coming up. And to my left-hand side, we have Artosis in control, Tasteless. Gentlemen, Group D so far has been fruitful. It's provided us interesting games. Rogue has been able to move on. I'm just looking at our shirts and thinking of what I can come up with.
Results.
Jeff,
yes,
so boring.
they were winners
The
and
matches
losers.
that have come from Group T have been quite fruitful.
It doesn't matter what I say. He'll just make fun of it.
That's
It's
true.
fine. Yeah.
The earlier you figure that out, the better, I guess.
Yeah.
Special against Classic. I mean, here's what we're facing. Otherwise, by the way, it would be Cyril alone in that top 8 as the
Yes.
non-Korean, which is like kind of how it's, you know, that's the storyline. But can Special disrupt that? This is a very tough PvT Classic, as
Yeah.
Artosis said, and other people will back up. Highly regarded as one of, if not the best PvT player in the world, and nobody is saying that Special is one of the best PvP players in the world. He's obviously very good. He's an incredibly talented player, but is he good enough to do that?
It's a great point that you bring up. I mean, Dan can kind of even challenge any of that. Pound for pound is Classic one of the best Protoss.
You know, ounce for ounce,
Ounce for ounce.
his PvT,
Yeah.
Jeff,
Huh?
best PvT. Can you name a better PvT than Classic?
I cannot. I mean, maybe Stats, just because I love him so much.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Stats is all right. Yeah, I can't.
all right.
I can't argue. Anytime anyone says Stats is the best something in Protoss, okay, we can go with that too. But Classic is deadly, and he's deadly in a different way than Stats. I feel like Special actually matches up against Stats much better than Classic.
so?
Oh, absolutely.
I do like how well-read Special is. He doesn't go into this as some of these foreigners where it's like Lambo against somebody where it's like he's seen VODs, but he's never played against him ever before.
Yeah.
Special has played in and around Classic against him. He's trained against the same ladder. So if there was a chance for Special to go into this with an informative idea of how he wants to take him down, it absolutely exists.
There's been a pattern actually emerging through these groups as well. If you look at them, some of our series, of course, have been quite one-sided, and they kind of been some have been a little bit back and forth. But 3 out of 4 so far, the player that has come from the elimination match has now just advanced to the round of 8. Is Special going to disrupt that situation here?
I mean, I'm hoping so. Look, I think Special can do this, but yeah, as you were saying, Tosis, Classic's PvT is pretty crazy. I mean, he's really good at getting in there and doing the damage, getting a takedown. But I don't know. Maybe I'm almost fanning out a lot more now about Special now that we've learned about his story. Out of all the pro gamers, I always knew Special, like I was friends with him, but I didn't know anything about his background. I gained, I think, along with everybody else that saw that Signature Series video, just how much this means for him and to come all the way across the world and try so hard to go back to Korea twice. I think he's going to be prepared to go up against Classic. Let me put it like that.
Well, even just to add to what Nick said, it didn't. I don't think it was in the Signature Series video, but very recently he used his winnings to actually buy his mother a house.
I know, that's so cool.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
That's a good kid there. That's a good kid.
Good person.
And he makes you want to root for him. Dan has been talking about him since the MLG days. We're talking 5, 6 years, 7 years maybe.
Back when he was Major.
He's had a lot of names. He's been a very good player for a long time, and he's been to BlizzCon. This is a guy that's made it to that top 8.
To the top 4.
To the top 4. He's won some big bucks doing this. So he has what it takes, but this is, and this would not even be the biggest upset, by the way. It's not like that, but it is a big upset for him to do it.
Across the table from is, of course, Classic sitting, and he will be going up into this next best of 3, looking to claim a place, because let's be honest, there weren't many tournament winners this year, but Classic was one of them.
It's very true, and we forget about the win toss sometimes, because this guy actually has one of the best put together careers that you can ask for. First off, he's the oldest player here. He's the oldest player that still
At like
participates
29, though, right?
in GSL. He's not quite that old.
No, I think he's old.
I think he's
It always blows me away. We're
26.
like, he's old. He's 26. I'm like,
But
oh
I
my
mean,
god.
hey,
What I'm doing.
for this level of play, he is the oldest.
Yeah.
He is the best oldest player in the world, basically, right? And he's done a lot. He was, again, the #1 draft pick in StarCraft 1 for his class of pro gamers that entered in. In StarCraft 2, he's won GSL, he's won SSL, he's won IEM, he's won Super Tournament. He's made it to various finals. But his retirement's actually coming up. He's going to be going to the military pretty soon. And if you want to be remembered forever, you got to win at BlizzCon, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a really happy ending to this story.
Well, you don't go out in the first groups, is at the very least what I would say.
Yeah.
Right?
But look,
Yeah,
he has to at least keep trying to advance here. Obviously, in case for people who are confused about this whole military service thing, every young man in Korea who's able-bodied has to be in the military for a little bit under 2 years. Okay. Now, if you're a professional gamer or you're a certain type of entertainer, or you're doing something very specific, you can defer that. But eventually, you have to do it. So that's why the age is such a big factor. Now, some players come back from that military service and continue their pro gaming careers, but they don't produce the same results, or at least generally speaking.
And then on the other side, of course, is Special going up against Classic. What did I call him before? The Guardian of Guadalajara?
No, I don't think anyone's calling.
Yeah, it says all the time. Nick will
I'll
call
take
him that. Nick's taking it. It's gone. It's gone.
Well, you were asking him backstage, well, what is he protecting Guadalajara from?
Yeah, you did it.
Guardian of Guadalajara. Like, that sounds epic. It rolls right off the tongue. When you take a closer look at it, no, he's got his card stacked up for him. But this is what I love about BlizzCon so much. In order for Special to get into the top 8 and have one of the best, I would say, histories of BlizzCon for a foreigner, by the way, making the top 8 a second time.
Yeah.
Massive.
Only
he
a
has to get
laser's
past,
done that, basically.
Yep, a laser as well. He has to beat Classic, and he is the underdog going into this. Special's had a little bit of an up and down here, as you would in this short tournament series so far. We've seen some really good stuff out of him, and then we've seen him kind of struggle. He has to bring not just the really good stuff, but superhuman special stuff, like stuff we did see throughout WCS and his bouts against like Neeb and stuff like that, but even higher than that. It's got to be something bigger.
He did mention that he had builds prepared in his interview, so do you think that can kind of topple something like Classic?
Well, I tell you what, one of his best friends in the whole world, someone he works with all the time in StarCraft 2, is TY, who is the second best Terran on Earth to Maru. So if there is someone you want to get build orders from, it's not even Maru, because like Maru's build orders go haywire all the time. He's just better than everyone. It is actually TY. This guy is actually the best planning Terran out there. So that is a big leg up for Special, no doubt about it.
Well, it is time to go over to the commentator team for our final series of opening week here to find out who our final player is going to be moving into the round of 8.
Thank you very much, James, and the guys there on the couch for your thoughts. This is indeed the last match of the group stages, the last deciding match to see who will be going through in that second place out of Group D.
This is it, man. I mean, we've had Cerro advancing, obviously, to the quarterfinals in a very convincing manner, and that was awesome for the WCS circuit players. But after that, a couple of them won their opening match, but in the end, nobody advanced. So this is it for Special. Can he be the second WCS circuit player to advance into the top 8? Or is it going to be 7 Koreans and Cerro?
He's got a big, big obstacle in his path, you know. Special's looking G'd up, he's looking ready, but coming straight off a win in the Super Tournament. This is a real hotspot for the Korean. He's looking really powerful. His Protoss play has been beautiful, and he definitely hasn't been looking weak in this matchup. But here we go, let's dive into map number 1. It's Lost and Found, and down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, he is Special.
Already sending out one of the boys. Over here on the right top side, we're looking at the main base of one of these 4 amazing Korean Protosses that we have. It is Classic. In this tournament, of course. There are more out there. Of course, Zest has been the only one so far to not advance. I had high hopes of Classic coming into this tournament, and I still do. Even though the series against Rogue was a little bit shaky, I think Classic is a pretty big favorite here, but the boys on the couch said it as well. Special said he's had some builds prepared. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, Classic, he's shown a little, if he's got a weak matchup, it's 100% his Protoss first Zerg, not his Protoss first Terran. If there's one player besides Stats who's made Maru look mortal this year, it's Classic. He's taken maps off him on the regular, has struggled to close the series out, but that's Maru, you know, he is the best Terran in the world, bar none. Classic going to come in with that early scout. He's going to check this out. It's so fascinating to see this proxy barracks meta evolve so much. It's this kind of side effect, I think, of the kickstarted economy and Legacy of the Void, which people have just figured out this year, is the fact that scouting and being able to react to your opponent early is so important, and that's why we see so many mind games. It's not just in this matchup. We see Protoss players hiding Stargates outside their base, players like Hassan SOS doing that. It's really cool because it just makes both players very uneasy about what the opponent is doing.
I was very curious to see if Classic, despite scouting that this is a proxy barracks opening, if he would still go for a 1-gate fast expand, you know, being convinced that he would be able to defend everything. But no, he's going to take it very safe. He went up to 2 gases. He's staying on 1 base for now. Special is actually going to throw down a bunker, I believe, in the natural of Classic. So the least that Special will be able to achieve here is that Classic is going to stay on 1 base for quite some time. The factory is being built at home, but not in the obvious spot. And I don't think that Classic has seen this yet.
I like this variation. Often the probe comes back into scout for it in the main base, but it is hidden down there already. Good micro here. This Zealot on bouncer duty is saying, nah, but ooh, Special not quite able to finish off those probes. 2 on red hit points. Great micro for Classic.
That's actually really hard to not lose a single probe there. I don't think that Reaper got 1 kill. Take a look at the main base, by the way, of Classic. What a sick SimCity this is. This is a line that means that if the Reaper really wants to get a probe kill, if the probe gets micro towards the right center there of the main base, then the Reaper has to commit, and that means that the Reaper will go down.
No way to slip out of that base, not at all. And already the Zealot and the Adept trying to come down to clear up the expansion. The very quick Stargate on the way. It's a very defensive setup here from Classic, and the probe is coming back in to try and confirm what the follow-up is. And good hiding here by Special. But Classic knows. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's not going to scout that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you're kidding me. Wow.
This is really good, because if I'm Classic right now, I'm pretty paranoid, like what's happening? There are even some weird variations, right, where they go for a tank and a couple of Marines if everything is being proxied as well. He probably has no idea what's happening. I think he feels quite confident because he is expanding at this point. That Widowmine, if that Widowmine connects with the Oracle, that would be absolutely massive for a Mexican Terran player.
Yeah, and that's part of the advantage of hiding the information so far, is there's no information for Classic. The Oracle wants to get across the map, wants to beeline over here and get that information. These Widowmines, of course, hidden out in these odd spots trying to catch it. I think there might be one in the mineral line. No, just a Cyclone there patrolling, which of course can defend that. The Oracle is going to come in and spot that factory. And the Reaper there trying to bait.
I love that. I mean, I don't think Classic is going to fall for it. I highly doubt that he's going to activate Pulsar Beam to dive on top of that Reaper, but for Special, I sure as hell hope so. However, I think in the end, this is quite even. I think Special is quite happy with how all of this played out.
Yep.
I mean, the Nexus was very late for Classic. Special didn't really take any damage at home. They're even in workers. Ask any Terran player in the world, would you like to be even in workers with your Protoss opponent 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the game? They will say yes, please.
Yeah, this is something which is hard to come by, but of course there has been limited barracks production as a result of that, and it's when Classic really starts getting back in that Protoss rhythm and going for the 3rd base, that's where it's going to be key for Special to slow him down. Speaking of slowing players down, double Oracle from Classic finds the open mineral line, only 1 SCV, good reaction there from Special.
Yeah, that's really not that bad. This Viking is going to be in a little bit of trouble. There is a Phoenix, and that's not a fight that the Viking wants to take. The Phoenix can obviously lift the Viking as well. It's like, why don't you go back into the air? That's going to land probably on the other side, and one Phoenix is not going to be able to kill it. I mean, he's keeping Classic busy, right? This is obviously nice. It is an expensive loss, but you don't just want to give it away in the most easy way possible.
Not at all, and this mineral line here, once again, the Oracle's coming, just grab a single SCV. Being annoying but not overextending is the key here. Classic was the original Protoss player who would do a defensive Oracle opening and would just do anything to avoid losing those Oracles. He does not want them to go down because they're going to provide him so much vision later on.
If he walks to the mine, I don't think you want to have the mine connect with the Phoenix, but you definitely want to have it connect with the Oracle.
Hey!
It's still something, right?
Yeah, it is something. The Phoenix, though, of course, does survive allowing the Widowmine splash to finish off the Viking before it gets that single volley off. So nice micro on both sides. Special making the best of not a good situation there. Classic minimizing the damage behind this. It's going to be Blink first into that Forge. Up against just a standard bio transition here. I feel like both players are tied pretty evenly, Roddy.
Yeah, I agree with you, but if I'm Special, I don't mind Blink here that much. Of course, Blink is one of these spells. The better the Protoss is, the more, you know, value they can get out of this upgrade. And you know that Classic is going to be very active and mobile with these Blink Stalkers. But in a straight-up fight, they really won't contribute much to the Protoss army. And Special is starting to build up a pretty powerful army. He's got all the obvious upgrades on the way. Stim, +1, combat shield. I think it's kind of nice to go up against Blink here, because I think Resonating Glaives would have been a lot more difficult to tackle, so to speak.
Yep, I mean, those Stalkers, I think they're going to have to slow down a push incoming because Stim's on the way, shields +1, no sign of a third command center. It's a lot of upgrades. We've got siege tanks in the mix as well. Special starting to move across the map with a very frightening army, and I'm not sure, did the Observer manage to see that? I feel like...
Yeah. I think Classic is kind of in the dark. Now, obviously, he can buy time with sentries, right? I don't know how many sentries we currently have out on the map. There are a couple of Widowmines on the right side of this orbital, but I think Classic has picked up on that. I mean, these Stalkers have just been at home. That's not where you want Stalkers to be. Sentries will buy time, though.
Ooh, the Cyclone's going a little bit too far forward, as is the Raven. The Raven almost going down, and that's a wasted anti-armor missile. Look at that, Classic just pulls back. He can wait, bide his time. He's got to wait for more units before he engages this.
Yeah, I mean, the army of Classic is not that powerful, but he is able to buy a lot of time with this. There are stasis traps, there are plenty of force fields available. Good revelation there on top of the entire army, but Special scans. So the stasis trap is not something to worry about anymore. I mean, the army of Special doesn't feel that big, but it does have quite a bit of DPS.
Yeah, nice range as well with the siege tank there. The Widowmine's providing fire support. There's no charge on the way. There's no glaives on the way. It's all Stalkers, Immortals, and Sentries. And with that Sentry energy running low, this is going to be a hard fight for Classic to hang on. Those Widowmines a big threat. And look at this, so good at baiting out the force fields and pulling back. The siege tank continuing to put damage onto those pylons.
And it's not an all-in, as the Observer is showing us. Special now has 3 command centers, soon 3 orbital commands as well. As long as Special trades somewhat decently here, this push was a massive success.
Oh, the Stalkers are forced to engage. The Immortals coming in and dishing out a lot of damage from the center of that concave. Special repositioning, realizing he's got to try and evacuate these units, those Stalkers. Very frightening once they're on the chase. Classic doesn't want to let this army get home. He's taken a lot of damage. He knows Special has a lot of stuff up behind this. Those Stalkers going to chase down for the medevac kills.
I love the micro from Special, though. He was boosting those medevacs, turned around immediately. He's going to use high ground here as well to get a couple of free shots off. I think this was excellent by Special. I really do. He's even in workers. He forced out so many Stalkers. Most sentries were useless in the end, other than buying time. All of them have disappeared. I look at this Protoss army and I'm not intimidated by it, Pick.
Yeah, right now this is a very mid-tier army. Stalkers are not the greatest unit in the world. They're good when they're trading. They're good at sniping down Liberators and drops. They're very mobile. They can reposition. But in a pitched battle on the front, they are not what you want. It's Zealots, and then obviously Archons, Immortals, and Psystorm going to be the big additional. Colossi, maybe Disruptors if Classic does want to go that way. Yeah. We do see a second Robo on the way, actually. So Classic preparing to add a little bit more oomph in behind these basic gateway units.
But there isn't a Robo Bay yet, so if he's just going to make a bunch of Immortals, okay, there we go with the Robo Bay. I think Disruptors would make a lot of sense here, because it's a single Forge game so far coming out of Classic, and obviously Colossus is really good with double Forge, and he's got so many Stalkers, and the only way to really get value out of this many Stalkers is when you have Disruptors shooting Purifier Novas forward. Otherwise, in a straight-up fight, these Stalkers simply, they won't add much.
Yeah, they're a flexible unit that does a little bit of everything, but they don't do any one thing great. That's a big triple drop in the main base right now. Oh, the armor upgrade not quite finished. Perfect timing on that snipe there from Special. And that +1 armor is denied. The Stalkers on the revenge. They managed to take out 1 medevac. But that's a good trade there for Special. He's happy for it. On the counter, though, Classic coming in here for Zealots in a Warp Prism. But he's quick to respond. No damage just yet. The missile turret zoning it out. Is he going to try to recall? I don't think he can get back to the dead space. That's it.
Wow.
Snapped down by Special.
Shut down. That's a Prism with 4 Zealots inside of it as well that really didn't do much damage. It seems like Classic is starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. He is starting up his first Disruptor. +2 attack is on the way as well. He's going to get a Templar Archive, so a little bit of everything. Supply-wise, this is dead even, and that's good for the Terran because Classic is so Stalker heavy. Now, of course, if he gets 3-4 Disruptors out, it's not bad to be Stalker heavy. Right now, this is really uncomfortable. If I'm Classic, I'd be like, oh god, please stay on your side of the map because I am not in the mood for a big fight right now.
And a bit of an odd transition. A second factory has gone down. It's going to be the double siege tank production here for Special. This can work. And of course, they outrange the Disruptors as long as you got a spotting unit. They're really nice at that, but they're very weak against the Charge Lot Storm composition because they're hard to get set up in position. So Special here, I think he's going to be looking for a pre-storm timing if possible. Nice snipe.
That second Oracle, by the way, the first Oracle went down in that first initial push, so that means no more Revelation, and that means that Classic is going to play a little more in the dark as well. He still has 2 observers, but that's about it. Other than that, it's going to be a little harder to keep track of the movement of Special, and that's obviously awesome for the Mexican Terran player. If he goes that heavy on the siege tanks, you know, getting those tanks to the other side of the map in a secret manner is fantastic for Terran.
You know, if you commit to like Neeb-style mass disruptor, these tanks are amazing, but we're already seeing double Immortals. We're seeing Storms almost finish 2-1 is there. Right now, Special is pushing, but this army, so many Zealots being added in. Classic's army is getting better and better to hard countering this.
Yeah, he does have 2 Disruptors in the mix. Other than that, I don't think the army overall is good enough. That's a very ambitious Blink. Now, Special just has to be very careful about those Disruptors.
So patient with those Disruptor shots is Classic. Yeah. He knows as long as they're up, Special is not going to be able to push in, and guess what? Storm's finished. That's a Prism filled with High Templar. Special might not realize that. He sees the Disruptor tech. There's no way for him to know that Storm is done right now.
He does have a Ghost Academy already, but you're spot on. That's obviously going to be a big surprise. But
so
it's still
clumped.
It's not going to be easy for Classic to land those Storms, though, but we know that he's capable of it.
But the bio's so clumped right now, and that's the thing. He's trying to stay out of range of the Disruptor shots, but if he doesn't take into account that Warp Prism, it could be massive. Of course, this drop on the south side, Special not trying to force the issue. I like this. A lot of Terran players would overextend here and get surrounded and flanked, but oh my lord, Classic's coming in. He starts to drop the Storms on the siege tanks. The bio spreading backwards very nicely, but a second wave of Storm drop coming in, and they land all over the bio. But the tanks, the Marines, the Marauders are trading out as well as they could considering the circumstances on the south side at the same time. That expansion's going to go down. Classic knocked back to 3 bases. He wants to push through into the reinforce, but he's lost a lot of units. Both players trading out their armies.
Yeah, I know that looked very painful for Special, but as long as he hangs in there right here, right now, it's going to be okay. But there is a Warp Prism in the mix. Look at Classic. He goes for a forward blink.
Wow.
Does he have enough Zealots to close the deal here?
This is a very aggressive move. Tanks are coming out. They're sieging up. That's going to hold the natural, but Classic's between the rally points. He can branch off and hit the 3rd and the 4th. Special is trying to take a 5th base. He has a massive economy lead. On the other side of the map, he's been repelled. They're having to pull back. Both players tied neck and neck. Classic has the army supply lead, though.
Just 1 Storm, I believe, available. There's 1 High Templar in this army, and he's going to try to land a big Storm. Does not get the job done so far. Obviously, 7 SCVs going down is very nice, but Special did a lot of economic damage on the other side of the map. Big. What a game so far.
Oh, the double drop coming back from the right as well. That Prism's still a huge threat, as is the Disruptor. A massive Disruptor shot there lands. Special wants to punish him for this maneuver, but I think he's getting overeager. Special has to go home. He can't take this fight. The Stalkers pounce on the northern side. The bottom side does go to Special, but the Prism saving an Immortal at the last second, gathering his forces. The SCV's trying to get back to safety, but they're not going to make it home.
It's just so tough as a Terran player to control 2 armies there at once, right? You can't possibly start a step on the left side and on the right side. That's simply not doable. It's easier for Special to keep all of his units in one place and then utilize the range of those siege tanks to push that Protoss army back. Like you said, it was a little ambitious, a little overeager. I don't think it's Special down and out, though. He just needs to buy a little bit of time. Ooh, goes for the drop immediately. Okay, sensor tower now on the way as well.
I like that move, though. You know, he scans the army retreating. Special can't just sit back. On this siege tank force, especially, if you just sit at home, it gives Classic way too much time. He's got 70 workers. He's got 3-2 upgrades. I mean, Classic's got so many Immortals as well. Yeah. The problem with this siege tank force is if your first push doesn't work out, your opponent's on Charge Lot Immortal, and your siege tanks are nearly worthless. This unit just does not pack the punch that Liberators do. Liberators force a heavy Stalker count out of your opponent. Siege tanks, the later the game goes, the tougher it is to get damage out of them. Special, though, if he's patient, he's got a big economy. he's still got a chance in this game.
Really, really good game by both sides so far. Loving some of the decisions that were made under a lot of pressure. There is a fleet beacon as well. We haven't seen a mothership yet. We haven't seen anything crazy yet. Maybe we'll see some Tempest eventually. Now we do have the Ghost Academy coming up. I thought I saw it before, but maybe it was a sensor tower. Special scans his army, and that army looks very, very scary to me. So he's going to try to buy some time with this counterattack. These units will obviously do quite a bit of damage, but does Special have enough at home to defend against this terrifying Protoss army?
Oh, the Prism coming forward again. The Storm Drops land and all the bio deep in the red. That is a ton of siege tanks, but the Immortals getting in on them, starting to do damage. The tank splash, though. The tank splash, Roddy. This was not the place for Classic to engage. That Protoss army just evaporated. He did not realize how many siege tanks there were in the back. At the same time, Special runs into the natural and starts annihilating Classic's economy.
Wow, what a hold and what a counterattack at the same time, picking off 28 probes, doing a lot of economic damage. I can't blame for Classic for thinking that his army was strong enough. I looked at that army and I'm like, oh my goodness, that Protoss army is never gonna die. But 7 siege tanks getting massive splash damage off. It got the job done, and suddenly Special is miles ahead in this game.
Yeah, Special there. I mean, the defensive power of the siege tank was never in doubt. Classic, of course, just caught unawares. That drop surprising him a little bit. And the tank line just kept going back. Special here continuing to build mass Marine Marauder siege tank.
Wow.
I mean, Classic was at a position where he was about to go Tempests. At the same time, he's being dropped in the main. Special starting to try and pick off some tech as well in Classic's main base. And that is eventually going to get, of course, pushed out of there. Special going to be moving across the map right now. His drop was cleaned up. And this is such a scary army. He's up 30 supply. It's all about the Psy Storms. Special's got to avoid those, and he should have this one in the bag.
Yeah, there are still a couple of Immortals left in the mix, and obviously Storm can take care of the bio, but that is so many siege tanks. And yeah, without Tempest or without a massive Protoss army where you can really go for a flank, normally you're not supposed to be able to engage this, and I have no idea how Classic is supposed to engage this. He's still gonna try though. He's gonna blink to the right side. He's gonna land a couple storms, but there are still so many tanks in the back.
He's got to pull back. You can't break this line. Classic's gonna go for the Immortal drop on the tanks with the Speed Prism. Wow, those two Immortals just killed 6 siege tanks between the pair of them. Classic breaks the tank line. From down about 60 supply, he brings it closer. He's still down about 40 or 50 supply. He's broke, but somehow he manages to clear that army.
As the Observer is showing us, units lost, basically even at this point, but obviously Special's economy is a lot better. He's got that base at 6 o'clock as well, still mining from that one. He's out mining Classic by quite a bit. So even though Classic had a phenomenal hold there, love how quickly he picked up those Immortals with the Speed Prism, dropping it on top of those tanks. That was awesome, but I don't think that's enough. Classic needs more.
Classic's just trying to create space for him now. He's actually saying, I know I can't break a siege tank defensive player. What I can do is I can look for some economic damage, but most importantly, just stay on your side of the map. Keep track of where your army is, keep you pinned back, and he was building 5 probes at a time for a moment there. He quickly bounced up to almost 60 probes again, and he's trying to rebuild that army. He says, look, I've got a good ground army. I don't have the money for a Skytoss swap. Classic knows victory is going to lie in just good ground engagements. It's going to be about Zealot flanks. It's going to be about these storm drops. And I mean, those Immortal drops were beautiful on those siege tanks in that last fight.
Yeah, it's still going to be hard for him to flank at this point. The army simply isn't big enough to flank, right? I mean, if that's going to be desynced by even a half a second, his entire army is going to disappear. Phenomenal hold. Awesome game so far. If you ask me, game of the tournament. I mean, this has been like 17 minutes of madness where it's been impossible to call who's winning. Obviously, after that big hold from Special, it feels like this is Special's game. But every minute that goes by, the more probes Classic gets out, the bigger that Protoss army becomes again. Classic is not going to make the same mistake twice. He will pick better fights.
I mean, that's how siege tanks work. They crush or they get crushed, right? They're very good in the right scenario, and Classic's figuring this composition out now. He's realizing how to avoid it. Nice little bit of a depth poking in, kind of figures out where the expansions are. He makes the top base get cancelled, and look, hey, he's actually picking off a lot of SCVs here. Classic getting some nice damage there, knocking Special's worker count down, forcing a few Marines over. Special's army is big, though. He's almost maxed. He's ready to push again. Can he land the EMPs? That's a scary Prism there. Nice storm on the rear of Special's army. He's got to protect his retreat. His siege tanks get picked up. Nice hot pickups there. Ooh, 2 of them get snapped by the Stalkers. There's not a big Stalker count right now. Do we have any pressure on the map for Special? I don't think so. He did build a few Liberators earlier. Yep. There we go. One on the north side, and I believe there's one on the bottom right that just escaped as well. So Special here doing what he can to damage Classic's already battered and bruised economy.
Yeah, that was obviously painful, losing a couple of tanks, but there are quite a few Ghosts out right now, and Ghosts really help the tanks in taking down those Immortals. You land a couple of those EMPs, and suddenly tanks deal way more damage against those key powerful units that the Protoss has. I still really love Special's position, but he's got to be so careful. Classic can land some godlike storms. We know that he's capable of it. Can we get some EMPs from Special? Oh my goodness!
Oh my lord! The mother of all storms lands in the middle of that Terran army, and suddenly Special has to go back to lick his wounds. That was... Whew, I've never seen that many Marines and Marauders get hit in one storm. He's got to wait for those units. The Classic's going again! Whoa, hot pickup as well. Not sure if that EMP managed to land on the High Templar.
What I'm starting to get a little bit worried about is the bases of Special running dry. He's been mining way more money for quite some time. This is 21 minutes into the game, and you can see it. The economies are getting closer and closer. That's because the Nerchio is running dry. Even the third base for Special is starting to run quite dry as well. He's got to be very, very careful at this point. Look at his Hero Marine go.
Very nice. Gabe, that's big Gabe right there. It's Hero Marine. He's in there taking out the whole probe line with those 3-2 upgrades, of course, on the Marines. We've got the Ghost coming in here. Nice DMPs! The left flank is down. No storms left except the ones in the Prism. I'd love to see a Viking or 2 from Special to get rid of that Prism. That Prism right now has so much freedom on this battlefield.
Oh my goodness, Pig. This game is nuts. You look at the Army Splash Classic. I don't know how he's done it, but he truly caught back up. That Prism coming in from the south side once again is looking for those big storms, but there are quite a few tanks set up though. I don't know if Classic can run into this, even with some big storms.
Yeah, he's got to wait for the rest of his army to engage, and that's scary. He's looking, of course, for this angle on the bottom right of our screen, out of range of most of the tanks, but where he can catch the bio. He's got to get those storms on the bio, or he cannot hold on. This is an equal army supply fight, guys. Classic has almost maxed out. Somehow, he is fighting his way back in this game. The bio is heavily bruised. Oh, Special spotted the Prism, but it's coming in, and the storms land all over that army. The Marines and Marauders evaporating. Special, though, manages to pull a lot of his bio to the bottom right. The tanks on the left destroy the left-hand side of Classic's force. He doesn't have any storms left in there. A reinforcement of Zealots come in.
Oh my goodness.
Last storm lands. Special has to withdraw to the tank line, and he will maintain the position on the map. Once again, a bloodbath, Roddy.
What a sick fight. I mean, both players having a phenomenal setup there. Obviously Special. Those Liberators pushed out quite a bit of damage. The tank line going back that far. The Zealots coming in, turning the tide of that battle. And I love that Special said, like, all right, that fight took a very long time. My units are overstimmed. I should go home. Pig, what a game is this? These are the games that I want to see at the Global Finals, man. Awesome.
If Special can maintain his income, he should win this game if Classic can't get another base. But on the other hand, you mentioned it, Special's been muling and mining like crazy.
Yep.
If he doesn't secure a new base after this one, then he's out of it. And if he loses that base, he's just gone. Special needs this base, and he would love to secure another base. The Zealots are coming in right now. He's got to repair that.
I love the Stalkers trying to block the SCVs as well from repairing this planetary. The SCVs are repairing the planetary, though. Can Special keep it alive? No, he cannot. But quite a few Zealots did go down. There are no storms available here. Sure,
Right-hand side.
Classic got the planetary, but that was not cheap, Pig.
Yeah, that was an expensive trade. You know, the moment you see the Marine Marauder come in from behind, you know you've got to keep committing. But a planetary for most of your army, that's dangerous. These Liberators continuing to be a pain at the same time. Special utilizing these harassment tools, and Classic now working with the bare bones of an army. He's going for the Desperation Dark Shrine. Special's army, once again, massive. He's rebuilding the Ghost count. The Siege Tank count is still there from earlier.
He's floating
Special
over.
is in control.
He's floating over the main base as well. The main is taking off and is gonna land at 5 o'clock there. Special knows that he needs a base because even his fort is starting to run quite low. He's gonna be able to pick up this Nexus though, and even the Templar Archives. That means no more storms for a little while. Can we take a look how many High Templars are currently out? 6. Okay, that's still quite a few to work with. The Nexus is still up. I mean, even though there aren't that many resources left, every resource counts right now for Classic.
I mean, right now, Special has such a frightening army. If he keeps branching out with small pressures like this, that's where the damage comes in. He can just keep leveraging his advantageous position. He's doing it again. A few Marines on the south, once again gonna come in and take out some probes. Classic realizing he can't just sit back. He's getting choked out of this game. Special is strangling Classic in this Protoss first Terran, and Classic here, he knows he's got to do a counter swing. His army very far forward on the map. He's looking to go for the counter attack.
Yeah, Special doesn't know about his army though. I mean, I don't know if it matters because obviously the army of our Mexican Terran is quite a bit stronger. He goes for all the scans. He's like, wait a minute, where are your units? At this point, he obviously knows that they are somewhere else. Classic maybe goes for a base trade. He's warping in a couple of Dark Templars as well.
There's not a lot of defense up on top of this ramp. He's going to have to try to pull up his Special at the same time. Special taking out the last vestiges of Classic's economy. Remember, guys, Classic has got DT tech up now. If he can take out the production, force the orbital command center to live, then he might do it.
He got the Prism there. He got the Prism with 2 High Templars inside of it. That is massive, of course, for many reasons. A, he can warp in Dark Templars over here at this point. I know he doesn't have that much money, but that would help. But now he can't drop those storms anymore that he was landing before. There is no speed prism out on the map currently. A massive snipe for Special.
That was absolutely huge, and these orbital command centers trying to get out of there. I think Special's been in this situation before. He knows, oh my lord, EMP on every single High Templar. Massive move for Special. There's no storm, that's just a bunch of Zealots and Stalkers, Roddy.
That's why sniping that prism is so freaking important. That makes it so much more doable for the Terran to land those big EMPs. Now Classic can recall, and I think he has to recall out of this because he can't fight right now. He's got no storms with his army. And look at that little sentry. He's like, don't worry, guys. Take care of all the depots. I'll hold the door for now.
Odor of the sentry right there, man. We've got a lot of units from Special branching over the right-hand side. He realizes he's got to keep doing damage while Classic occupies that spot in his main. Good cancel from Classic, trying to evacuate the very few probes that he has left. And oh my lord, you don't want to go down there, Protoss. EMPs all over Classic's units. Is he going to recall? I don't know. He's looking desperate. He's going to lose so many units on the retreat.
Wow.
2 Immortals fall, a ton of the units. And look at that. Even this small section of Juanito's army gonna be able to roll over those Zealots. I feel like there's a lot of Doritos out there in Twitch chat right now because this has been an incredible game.
Wow, GG. Special takes the 1-0 lead over Classic in, without a doubt, the best game we've seen so far in 3 days of StarCraft action. Big madness. What an absolute cracker of a game here on Lost and Found. I mean, Classic played a phenomenal game as well. Of course he made an overextension. Of course he ran into all those tanks when he shouldn't have. But I looked at the army and I'm like, I think you can run into that many tanks. Turns out you cannot, no matter how many Immortals you have. The focus fire on so many moments was massive by Special. Sniping the Prism there in the end, I think it almost seals the deal because that, you know, that just makes it impossible for Classic to land the storms that he was landing throughout the majority of that game.
Oh, I mean, those storms were huge. They were what kept him in that game for a long time. The Prisms were so patient on that north side of the map when he had that defensive arc slowing down Special's advance, and that Prism was just fishing, poking in, poking out, trying to get a bite, and it finally landed the storms. But at the same time, Special always had the tank line to fall back on, and there was always a moment where suddenly a big section of the Protoss army just disappeared from a tank volley, and it was like, oh wait, I thought Classic was winning this fight. But the moment he stepped into the tank fire, Special suddenly was able to turn things around. Some great play from both players, a scrappy back and forth Protoss versus Terran. This is such an awesome series to finish off the day.
Yeah, of course, there's so much on the line. The winner will move on to the quarterfinals. We'll be playing at BlizzCon, but it's not just that. It's $7,000 extra as well. And of course, you're still in the running for so much more. But that's not what you really want to think about at this point. Special knows that even though he's up 1-0, it's not going to be easy to take out a man like Classic. Even when you knock him down to 3-4 bases, even when you kill 40 workers and kill the majority of his army, he still hangs in there like the champion that he is. All right, Pick. I'm so excited for Game 2. This is awesome.
It's been a great start to the series. It's the best of 3 here. As we launch on into the next map, it's the absolute final series of the group stage here. Group D, we are looking for that second place to go to the top 8. Down here in the bottom left-hand side, in the blue, representing Asterion Gaming, he is Special.
On the right top side, we're looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss. He's down 1-0. It is Classic.
Sorry, I think I got that team name there wrong for Special.
Happens to the best of us,
My
Biggie.
bad.
I'm sure that the people over there in the Netherlands will be very happy with that shout out.
My bad.
Alrighty. This game, there is, again, a proxy pick, but I'm not exactly sure if we can truly call this an aggressive proxy. Sure, the Reaper is going to make its way to the other side of the map a little bit quicker, but it's going to take quite some time, right? So I feel like this is more of a mind game than a true proxy. We do have double gas going up behind this, though.
That's a very fast probe coming out here for Classic. So he's going to scout this. He's gone on that north side of the map, obviously hoping to find the SCV en route to that very top central position where people like to proxy. Classic, not seeing it, is going to find the 2 gases. And I mean, this is part of selling the story as well, is you have to take 2 gases if you want the Protoss to react heavily. It's also something where this barracks is in such a rarely scouted position. Special might be focusing on getting an add-on with it or something like that.
Blue shift it is. I mean, we've seen a couple of TVPs already on this map. Some of the other Korean Protosses, they're all about those Zealots and Stalkers and staying on 2 gases forever. Classic already showed us in game 1, he's not about that. Is it a good style? Absolutely. Is he capable of executing stuff like that? Hell yeah. But he's also confident that he can tack up to splash damage, that he can make things work like Disruptors and like High Templars.
Absolutely, and I mean, scouting the barracks is already nice for Classic because it gives him a heads up that you know, Special isn't just going to be kind of having a barracks with a reactor on it, having the cyclones come in or anything like that. The bunker block is going to be good. The defensive Stargate again. Classic seems to have found a formula that he likes for this situation.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by it though. I mean, if you would have scouted this, I actually think that you can defend most openings if you just go 1 gate fast expand, depending where you build the second pylon, right? I like this position, kind of what Neep did as well, because this still allows you to build shield batteries on the low ground, but I also think you can build that second pylon in front of the Nexus, and that also allows you to get the batteries up a little bit quicker, because we know that Special's build is not really a commitment. So Special's already getting a lot of damage done with his opening so far. And I know that it sounds weird, guys, but it's like the indirect damage, right? He is slowing Classic down a lot. While if Classic would have just gone for 1 gate fast expand, he would have been laughing straight through the bank right now.
You know, I think that's such a stylistic thing as well with players. It's funny because Classic loves to have something which he knows is rock solid, right?
Yep.
There's no way he loses the game outright. Whereas a player like Neeb, who we saw playing earlier today, he'd toe that line. And even against the Marauder Cyclone, one of the hardest builds to hold, he was showing you could defend it just barely with very, very good control. Classic doesn't want to put himself in that position. He's like, no, I'd much rather have complete control with the fast Oracle. I'll delay my expansion, and I'd rather have the full scouting, the harassment opportunity with the Oracle. Classic playing a much more measured and safe game. And someone like Neeb who likes to push their edges a little bit more.
Yeah, and I also think that's the difference between the WCS Global Finals and playing an online tournament, right? I think if Classic is playing an online tournament right now, he'd be like, you know, let's just see if I can hold or not. Should be doable, should be very possible for me to be able to defend whatever you throw at me. There is so much on the line. The potential for Classic to make a deep run in this tournament is very real if he survives the group stage. We know that he's capable of going very far. He may not be the top favorite to win it all, but we all know that Classic can always make a semifinals, maybe squeeze even into a finals if things go his way.
Double Oracle out, Stasis Trap's already going down on the defense there. Classic's such a defensive player with his Oracles. He almost never runs those into Widow Mines in the early game. If he thinks there's a chance of it going down, he just turns the Oracle around, flies it home.
Cloak Banshee is going to be the tech of choice here for Special, which I don't think is going to come that much as a surprise. As long as Classic keeps his Oracles alive, he should be all right. I believe there is a Phoenix out as well, so he can always tag those Banshees. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I understand the idea of obviously making a push in the front, maybe with some Widow Mines and a couple of Cyclones, and that's where the Banshees sweep in as well, maybe if the Oracles go down or the Oracles use their energy, but like you said, Classic is not crazy, and in general, he is very, very careful with these Oracles.
Nice snipe on the Widow Mine, but he's going to pay the tax there as the Cyclones do take that Oracle down. The Oracle staying in there to take out a few Marines, realizing there was the cooldown, of course, on the Cyclone lock-on ability, but that's something Classic hates. He does not like losing those Oracles at all.
And that's massive, because he's probably going to need that for defensive purposes, not only to tag maybe a Banshee, because he is making an Observer, but eventually maybe if Special moves out with those mines, with those Cyclones, and maybe a couple of Marines and a few tanks as well, even without Stim, a push like that could be very, very tricky to hold as a Protoss, and that's when those Oracles come in very handy.
This Banshee is going to come in now and does actually dodge around after spotting that probe. Good reaction there by Special.
Where's that observer?
And there is a shield battery near the natural, so I'm going to see, does Special commit to this? Indeed he does. Going to start sniping down one probe, and the second probe gets healed. Only 2 probes here so far. Those Stalkers moving back. That's a nice push through the middle. Cyclones, Marines, Widowmines, a Banshee, and Siege Tank there. And this Banshee already causing a big disruption, a big distraction. It's going to force a lot of units up here. It's already done a ton of damage, and that's going to allow the army to set up at the front.
This is working out in a fantastic way so far for the Mexican Terran players. Classic is so far out of position. He's not ready to deal with this. This allows the mines to go down in a very, very dangerous spot as well. Maybe allows the Siege Tank to siege up. Classic is going to need the hold of his life to keep his BlizzCon dreams alive.
Sacrifices the Oracle to take the Widow Mine in on a friendly fire trip. The Kamikaze Oracle does end up falling. It damages a lot of the Terran units. These next Widow Mines, some shots landing, but good splits by Classic, and that Immortal gonna be the savior of the day. Takes down those Cyclones, takes down the Siege Tank. Classic with an amazing hold in a very hard position. Despite that though, look at the worker count. Special here, he's ever macroing behind it.
Obviously this is not a good position for Classic to be in. You're going up against a Terran player that has 3 orbital commands already. You're down economically, awful spot, but still a really, really good hold, because I think if that goes worse, you could straight up lose the game there, and that's it. Curtains closed. We know that Classic is capable of making a comeback. The one silver lining for Classic in this game, I would say, is that Special made so many awkward units, so to speak, when it comes to Cyclones, Widowmines, Banshees, and that means that Stim is quite a bit delayed. And that means even though Classic is behind right now, he's got at least a little bit of time to crawl his way back into this game.
That's always how these builds work, isn't it? The Terran commits so much to slow down the Protoss, so in any other game where the Terrans played one of those older styles where you get up to the Stim, I mean, you look at those worker counts and you say the Protoss is down and out, but this does, as you said, give a window for recovery for Classic. It's still, though, Special mining a lot more minerals every minute. He's going to be establishing this position. He's floating his 3rd command center down. So far, pure Marine Marauder medevac. Now, he's got a safety Siege Tank, but he's not continuing production, so I am curious if that factory's got a reactor or a tech lab. It does have a reactor. We see Widowmine production in the mix. Great against the charge lots.
Absolutely. So far, so good for Special. I mean, last year he surprised all of us by making it into the playoffs at the global finals by surviving a group with Stats and TY. We thought that would never be able to, or he would never be able to do that, but he did. He even won that group, and now again, he's looking great against Classic. He's up 1-0, and things are going his way so far, but he's not there just yet. He's gonna need a few more good moves.
Yeah, I mean, Classic's been down in bad positions before. He was down 0-3 in the last Grand Finals he played, and he won 4 games in a row to win that. Classic gets more and more steely when he's under fire, gets more and more focused. He's got some units here spotting for these drops. That's a lot of Stalkers. Of course, he doesn't have Blink, so he can't capitalize on those drops coming too deep unless Special is very inattentive. And he's already pulling these units around. Special just going to play it very careful. He's waiting for his economy, his upgrades, and his production to kick in. He doesn't want to fight until a little bit later in this game.
Yep, there's no need for Special either, right? I mean, he technically doesn't have to. It's not like he has to worry about Storm at this point. He doesn't have to worry about Disruptors either. No, it's just Zealots and Stalkers, and we've seen that many, many times in this tournament. Even though that composition did incredibly well, now there is a Templar Archives going down. We all know the bigger the Terran army becomes, the more Widowmines are in the mix as well, the more the Zealots start to fall off. Special doesn't want to take a fight too early. Could scan and could maybe get both observers here. That would be massive. He's got to be careful. I'm not sure if I really like him splitting up the army here. It could work out in a fantastic way, but we'll see.
Trying to bait those Zealots in, of course. If you do create a battle on 2 fronts, it's much harder for the Protoss to kind of mitigate those Widow Mines. The Bio there going a little bit far forward, and a lot of them do go down there. Special trying to pull back. The north side's being defended as well. Great trade so far for Classic on this defense. He's buying the time that he needs.
Yeah, I think he picked off a medevac there. I'm a little bit sad to see Special splitting up his forces because I don't think he had to. I think in a straight-up fight, his army was actually stronger than the army of Classic. He has an upgrade advantage, Big. How often does Terran with bio units have an upgrade advantage against Zealots and Stalkers? And that's all because of the way that this game has played out so far. Now Special's gathering all of his units, and this could be the push that sends him into the quarterfinals.
I mean, Bio's good, Widowmines are good versus the Zealots, but it's when those 2 Liberators join the army, that is the real power point for Terran, and Special is there now. He's got to get in there soon, though. Roddy, because that storm, it's already past halfway, and there's observers seeing everything. Classic knows he's on the clock. He knows there's a scary army coming for him, but if Special doesn't get a move on, Classic's gonna have those storms to greet him once more.
How many Templars do we have? Just 4 in the Prism. We have 2 more. Those are in the natural. That one Prism is very low on HP. Are those Zealots?
Yeah, okay. yeah.
I think that's better, by the way, because that Prism is already kind of on fire. It already ate a Widowmine shot. Special's creating space. He's very paranoid about the big counterattack. I think maybe afraid that 8 or 9 Zealots suddenly show up in his natural and start slacking down those SCVs.
He's killing a few observers with scans, which is limiting Classic's map vision a little bit. We see that drop on the left-hand side, about to get intercepted. It actually skimmed through the watchtower vision. A bad mistake there for Classic, going to cost him his nice counterattack, and that gives Special a lot of confidence to get his army together and get a move on. He's got ship weapons, he's got more and more Liberators, and those 2-2 upgrades. That is the window Special's looking for. He's going to have a 2 upgrade advantage over Classic. Classic here is moving forward, though. He's got the Storm, and that is also very scary.
There is a Ghost in the mix, but that's just a single Ghost against quite a few High Templars. The Widow Mines connecting almost with those High Templars, not just enough. Now there are a few more Ghosts there on the left side of our screen, so it will all come down to those EMPs. Classic will be very, very careful.
Yeah, EMPs are very nice, but the Prism, of course, the safety against that force field, stopping Special from getting down that ramp. He's up 30 army supply. He'd love to fight right now, but he's got to respect the storms.
Good blink there. He's going to get a couple of Liberators immediately. Can we see some big storms so far? Man, Classic is actually playing really well. Considering the position that he was in, I find it amazing that we're looking at a Protoss with this army right now, and he's even thinking about the next stage. He's getting a second Robo, but Special wants to force a fight. He lands a big EMP there on top of Immortals and 2 High Templars as well.
Very nice. Those Stormers are dropping out. Nice Storm on the Marines. Another big EMP does land on those gateway units, but there's still a lot of Storm in that army.
Goodness.
He snapped the War Prism. The Marines stim forward in an impetuous move. Special takes the splash damage out of the Protoss force, and he wants to try and take the fight here, but his army is heavily bruised from the stim packs. He's going to keep on fighting. Does he have the numbers? Classic Zealot count is dwindling. The Liberator's sieging ahead, and has Special done it with one ballsy maneuver? He just might have brought it down.
The Immortals are going down. The Zealots are not here anymore. The majority of the Stalkers have been picked off as well. A few more Zealots are starting to show up, but Special sniping that War Prism with 3 High Templars inside of it. That may have just done it, Pick.
That was an amazing move and a decisive push to follow it up. This man knows his Terran versus Protoss, and is he actually going to do this versus one of the best Protoss versus Terran players in the world? He's inches from closing this one out. His units are bruised, his medevacs are low. He's pulling back, he's trying to take his time here. It's only Zealots and Stalkers, there's no splash damage, there's nothing left for Classic, and that's going to be it. Special, hailing from Mexico, able to topple the Korean tyrant here. The probes are running, and the Marauders are just waltzing in on the victory path. An impressive victory from Special, an amazing series, and he might just be going through to that top 8.
It's not just Zero, it's Special as well. For the second year in a row, Special is gonna make it into the top 8 of the WCS Global Finals as he throws down that final scan, picks off a couple of Desperation Dark Templars, but he's done it, man. That snipe was worth at least $7,000, but potentially pick so much more.
Classic can't believe it. He's trying to warp in DTs and drain the detection. He's trying to avoid the scans, but they don't end. He's got a Nexus going up on the other side of the map, trying to get a base trade going. Classic here, desperately fighting with every tool he's got, and who can blame him? It's not every day you get to play in BlizzCon, and he is, of course, coming to terms with this scenario here. The last tool slowly trickling away. Classic, such an impressive player, coming hot off that Super Tournament victory. But here today in this series, Special was the one who came out on top. He was just played some very nice build orders, making use of these proxy barracks, some great pushes to follow it up. And I mean, that Marine move, the snipe on the War Prism is so dangerous. He copped one big storm in return for it, but taking every bit of splash out of Classic's army, it was so worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, the beginning of the game was obviously very good for Special. I know these medevacs have been working overtime. A couple of Archons are going to show up, but it's not going to be enough for Classic. Special's forces are overwhelming here. What an absolutely amazing performance by our Mexican Terran player. 2 years in a row, he's going to make it into the top 8, and he did it, making it out of very, very tough groups. Him toppling Classic here, that is absolutely fantastic, Big.
What a long way he has come. Classic has to call good game with no tools left at his disposal. And once again going through to the top 8. Of course, last year's surprise semi-finalist making a triumphant return to the top 8 of BlizzCon.
What a run by Special once again. He gets the job done, and he did it against a Classic that, of course, was in rough positions, and of course he overextended a little bit in game 1, but I just think Special played one hell of a best of 3 here, showed some fantastic decision-making, impeccable control, and that Warp Prism snipe was heard around the world.
It was an amazing set of plays from the man, and I'm sure the boys on the couch are just as excited as that. Kalaris, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
An absolutely outstanding series to finish off the group stage. Without doubt, the hands down some of the best games we've seen of the group stage so far, as Special is able to take the 2-0 and moves forwards into the round of 8, knocking out a 2-time semi-finalist from the World Championship Finals as well. Unbelievable stuff. Joining Artosis in control, Tasteless. Guys, that was just phenomenal play.
Special looks so good right now. He just 2-0'd Classic.
Yeah.
He forced his way in to the top 8 of BlizzCon. It's not just going to be Cyril there for the non-Koreans. I mean, that was just amazing. He played so well.
And what I liked about this a lot, too, is that in the past of this tournament, we've had some results where it was like one player didn't play up to snuff and the other one kind of capitalized.
Yeah.
I thought Classic played pretty darn well. Obviously, it wasn't perfect StarCraft for anybody, but it was very good, and he gave it his all. And it was just Special executing some ideas and strategies that caught him off guard, and then capitalizing on that. We've had so many matches where the non-Korean in particular got ahead, did something really great, but then could not seal the deal. And this time, Special was able to do that. And he's inspiring countless Terrans out there. I'm thinking of like Nathanius and some of these guys that have no idea what it looks like when a Terran steps up to the plate, faces the best PvT player on Earth, and actually destroys them 2-0. And for Nate to be able to see that, I think, the young, impressionable-minded Nate out there, it's just a big moment in time. I'm excited about it.
Tasteless, I'll check in with you for a moment. Okay. We are ready to hear from the winner. Moving into the round of 8, let's head over to Special.
Thank you very much, guys. And I'm here with Special, who is the last one to join the round of 8. Congratulations. Oh my God, did you expect such a win 2-0 against Classic?
I tried my hardest to win. I didn't expect it to win. I knew he was going to be very hard because I knew when he is one of his last tournaments, I think, and when I saw him practice, because I know his account, he was playing like 50 games every day, very, very hard practice. So I had to do the same to at least have a chance, and I think I played very well today. I have good conditions. I really like the BlizzCon, how they treat you, how everything is perfect, so you can play your best. So I'm very happy I was able to play my best.
So you indeed, as you said, you played really well. And let's talk about this first game. Like, it was a really interesting game to watch. And tell us more about your build order and your strategy.
Well, I know how he defends proxy, so I engineered 2 builds to trying to insecure him in the mind, like the way game 1 my plan was to do a fake cloak and to Raven, but he didn't scout the starport too fast, so I didn't make cloaking. But in game 2, I know he likes to go back with the Oracle when he scouts for the he just goes in with the Oracle, scouts quickly and goes back if he thinks it's Banshee. So in game 2, I capitalized on that and a hidden Banshee build with a reactor cyclone. And in this map, especially when you do reactor cyclone, they think you're gonna attack with a bunch of cyclones. So he was make his robo and stay back at home. So I was in a good position after that.
Well, excellent. And I know you're really close with TY. Did he give you any tips to prepare for this series?
Well, we always help each other. I help him, he helped me. But in this matchup, his game 2 build was his. I just made a little better. And since I made in the game 1 build was mine. But they complement each other well, the builds in a best of 3. So yeah.
Okay, well, and your TVP looks really on point. And if you are able to play at your full potential, could you raise the trophy at BlizzCon?
I mean, I think anyone at the top 8 has a chance. Like, some might have higher numbers, but I think anything can happen any day. there's some players that I would like to avoid, of course, but I think, yeah, anyone can win, especially SOS. I don't want to play SOS.
Okay. Would you like to add any last words to your fans?
I know I'm always looking like I'm not very good in the foreigner scene, but I don't know. I like to prove in this tournament that I can do very well.
Okay, well, congratulations again and best of luck in round of 8. And back to you guys.
Phenomenal breakdown there from Special. Very interested to hear kind of how he kind of dissected what was Classic was doing in some of his previous games and able to apply brilliant execution to those as well. Really cool to hear from him.
His prep and familiarity with the Korean players does stand out a lot when we watch him play. You know, he doesn't do as well in WCS as his skill level would probably predict. But he's lived in Korea forever at this point. These are the players he studies, he plays with, he knows them, and you can see how well that worked out for him against Classic.
You know, one thing about Special, his play is the embodiment of hard work. Okay, sometimes you see these series where someone pulls a fast one, like, oh, I did this build and it counters you, or, you know, I planned out well. You didn't scout this, or I played it. He is just, you watch these engagements, he's so good. He's making so many excellent decisions. He's just willed his way through this tournament.
In control, your thoughts in the series as a whole?
Well, I mean, I liked his words there. He said, I want to prove to you guys that I am a good player and I can do this. And I think he's already proven that. And after this level of play, this level of preparation, execution, I'm excited to see what happens up there. Obviously, there's some sharks in that pond that I do think could take this feel-good story and probably turn it on its head pretty quick if he gets them. But after toppling someone like Classic the way he did, and it's really fun hearing his thoughts, and I like combining Tasto's thoughts on this and hearing what they say. I mean, he is familiar with the Korean scene, and that is a leg up. And it's cool to see that because it's a different flavor, right? Like a lot of the non-Koreans, the European scene in particular is very tight-knit, but they have their own thing going. Special just really globbed onto the Korean scene. All those videos are of him bonding with the Koreans. He idolizes that scene. He worships TY, and he's getting results and doing it with that, and that's pretty cool. It's a different feel. I like it.
For me, looking at the potential of brackets and things like that, it almost makes me hunger for a Special Stats series. It's the only potential Protoss that you could meet in the round of 8, but of course, stats is stats. So, what do you think?
I actually think he has a decent style. Like, Stats is not unbeatable in PvT. He's very good at the matchup, but I think that Special knows various ways to combat him. Just like he says, oh, Classic scouts the Oracle and sends it home. He's going to know things specific about stats that are similar to this. So I think that would be a great match.
That is interesting to break down because he cannot face Rogue, okay? Because he cannot face, and we're going to do the bracket show in a minute. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but so it's either Serral, Maru,
or Stats.
Yeah. Two of those three for me are like, like Serral versus Special. That's a pretty good match for him. Maru versus Special. The thing is that we kind of lose sight of Maru, or Special, excuse me, is actually a bit of a TvT sniper. Now I know it's Maru, but that is in the past that was the best matchup.
There's a lot to study from when you go to Maru, considering that he just played a full best-of-7 TvT against TY.
Yeah. It's so true. And I'm sure that Special helped TY to prep for that.
Yeah.
And TY pushed him to the limits.
That would be kind of cool. That'd be a cool storyline.
Yeah,
I'd like that.
It's great. It's great.
I'd like that.
So far, our round of 8 obviously shaping up to be fantastic. I think that some of our group stage matches have kind of been a bit of bops. We've seen
a lot of them.
Yeah, we saw a lot of those.
Let's say a lot of them.
But we ended the group stage with a really, really nice couple of games.
Nice couple of bops.
Nice go.
No, they're back and forth. They're good games.
These are weird games.
No, but we're the final the final weekend's gonna be sick. Obviously, this is absolutely